As you probably know, the Earth is rotating on its axis. This gives us day and night. Today in this video, we will explore what would happen if Earth stopped spinning. Let's begin. The good news is we wouldn't fall off if the Earth's rotation stopped. With water pushed to the poles, we could walk around the entire equator on land, but this would be a very inhospitable place. We know Earth's rotation is slowing down slowly. But what will happen if suddenly and absolutely God, the devil, or aliens stopped our planet from spinning on its axis? Luckily, geographers can now send us the answers thanks to better information about our planet. Of course, if you stop the world from spinning unexpectedly, much of our planet will soon become very inhospitable. Half the Earth would face the heat of the sun almost constantly, and half would face the cold of space. In a narrow twilight zone between the hot and cold halves, life will continue. But over the course of 1 year, this twilight zone will slowly be creeping around the globe as the Earth began its annual orbit around the sun. Let's say the oceans don't freeze on the cold side or evaporate on the hot side to make it easier to work out what will happen. And let's just look at centrifugal force, which really should be called centripetal force. If it stopped spinning completely, not even once every 365 days, you would get half a year daylight and half a year nighttime. During daytime for 6 months, the surface temperature would depend on your latitude, being far hotter than it is now at the equator than at the poles where the light rays are more slanted and heating efficiency is lower. This long-term temperature gradient would alter the atmospheric wind circulation pattern so that the air would move from the equator to the poles rather than in wind systems parallel to the equator like they are now. The yearly change in the sun's position in the sky would now just be its seasonal motion up and down the sky towards the south due to the orbit of the Earth and its axial tilt. Changing continents. That would still be a disaster if it slowed down for many years. The oceans will travel towards the poles without centrifugal force, reducing ocean depth around the equator by 8 kilometers. Because this is less than the depth of the ocean there, the water of the planet will be split into 2 large polar oceans, separated in the middle by a belt of land. Parts of Spain's north will be underwater, as will all of Antarctica. Bake and freeze. If Earth is not revolving on its own axis, a day will last as long as a year. It receives 6 months of daylight everywhere, eventually heating up the Earth to well above 100 degrees Celsius. The vast central continent would get the hottest, and any remaining lakes and rivers would melt away and be strongly blown to the poles. Only along a narrow strip at the coast would even primitive life be possible. Everything would be launched in a ballistic trajectory sideways. The first thing to consider is the momentum of everything on Earth's surface. You're kept down by gravity, and at rotational velocity of 1,674.4 kilometers per hour at the equator, you whiz through space. It's not because of momentum that you can feel it, much like how you can't imagine like you're going down the highway in a car. But when you stop or run into an accident, you feel the effects. And then, if the Earth suddenly stopped rotating, everything at the equator on the Earth's surface would immediately travel sideways at more than 1,600 kilometers per hour. Imagine the ocean sloshing sideways at 1,600 kilometers per hour. The Earth would no longer be tilted. The Earth's tilt is defined by how the planet is rotating compared to the Sun. This axis of rotation defines the Earth's seasons, but without any rotation, the concept doesn't make sense anymore. There's still a north pole of the planet, where the radiation from the sun is at its lowest angle, and an equator, where the light hits most directly, but there would no longer be seasons. Oceans. Our Earth is not a sphere. It is bulbous, that is, it bulges at the equator. The Earth is 26 miles wider around the equator than it is from pole to pole, all due to its rotating motion. If the planet slowed gradually, the bulging ocean water will start flowing away from the equator towards the poles. When the world stopped rotating completely, leaving it as a sphere, much of the Earth's oceans would flood, leaving a giant supercontinent in the middle of the planet. If Earth stopped spinning, the atmosphere would also settle, and with it, the weather. The weather would become extremely predictable, as it would be controlled only by the sun. It would result in massive storms on the sunny side of the planet. That's it from this video. We hoped you liked it. The comment section is all yours. Do tell us your suggestions about next videos. Bye!